Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark, joined today with Frank Tropiano talking wrestling. We had Survivor Series over the weekend, a Raw to review as well. We'll start off here, Frank. How did you feel about Survivor Series WarGames?
Yeah, I thought Survivor Series was exactly what I would expect it to be. I think if I were rating it out of 10, I'd give it like an 8, 8.5. It was really good. No major swerves involved, really. But sometimes you don't need it. And that was one of the cases. Great show.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was a little bit left to be desired because there was no swerves, no returns. It was pretty by the book for the most part. I think there was one prediction that you got correct that I didn't with Nakamura winning the title. We'll get into that. But for the most part, it was pretty by the book, a solid wrestling show. With that being said, we'll jump right into the results here. First off, here, Braun Breaker retains his IC title in that triple threat match with Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. I thought that was probably the match of the night. We'll go into that as well. Nakamura beats LA Knight to win the U.S. title. We have Gunther retaining his title, beating Damian Priest. We have the two War Games matches, both faces winning, a little bit surprising there. We'll start off here. I kind of just gave my little spoiler there. Which match did you enjoy the most here, Frank?
So I'll tell you what, the girls' war game match was extremely interesting because it started off with some missed chair shots. I felt bad for Nia Jax there. She was just trying to protect her people in the ring, and it looked a little messy, and she wound up looking the worst for it. But I'll tell you what, as that match went on, it just kept gaining steam and gaining steam. And towards the end of it, I was completely into it. So I think that has to be the contender for match of the night. But overall, I think the men's war games match delivered. It didn't go the way I thought it was. It didn't go the way I thought it should end, but I thought it was still great.
That women's match was very sloppy for a long time. I know what you're saying. Like once they all got in there, things did clean up a bit. But when you have Nia Jax being the ring general for a considerable amount of time, you're kind of playing with fire there. I think they felt that.
I, I see. I didn't think it was Nia's fault. Even those chair shots, she's like, "I'm not gonna hit you in the head." Like that was really responsible of her. And like Bailey just like gave her head, like, "All right, like smack me in the head with the chair," and she's just like, "No, I'm not doing it." So I don't know. I don't feel like we can blame Nia Jax for it. I think that the pacing was just a little off in the middle. I'm sorry, in the beginning, and we really felt it until the middle. But as soon as Io grabs the trash can and starts climbing up the cage, that to me was the rest of the way. It was full throttle and great. Even though I thought she was going to jump off right there, and it took her a little while, and then Tiffany got involved too, which was awesome. But yeah, I thought that for me, as soon as that moment hit, everything kind of evened itself out, and they wound up putting on a really nice show.
All right, fair enough there. And we did both have the face women winning this match. It was pretty obvious. It seemed like you had the finish correct as well with Rhea Ripley pinning Liv Morgan. We thought or we hoped that would be the end of the feud, but it did not prove to be that on Raw today. With that being said, we'll talk about my favorite match. It was the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. It was just a fun match. It was a fun 20 minutes or so. I think a lot of these triple threat matches don't usually have this much fun, live up to this much hype, but it was a solid, strong match. Braun retained, which we all thought he was going to, but a fun 20 minutes.
Braun, so entertaining.
Yeah.
Just so entertaining. The way he flies around. He's so big, he flies. I can't wait to see more of him in big spots and big feuds. But also Ludwig and Sheamus, just the pros in there. So you just had a really perfect mix of explosion and quality. And it, like you said, it winded up being a match of the night candidate for sure.
Our one title change on the night was Shinsuke Nakamura defeating LA Knight.
Yeah.
I liked it. Listen, Frank, you called it. You said Shinsuke's going to win this match. I didn't think they're going to pull the trigger. I thought they were going to keep it on LA for a little bit longer, but I'm happy they didn't. How do you feel overall about this match, about the title change?
We'll talk about this twice tonight in terms of two times. I thought this is Triple H pulling the strings, and you can see that they just feels like they know what they're doing a little bit more, like they have these things a little bit planned out. We were going to bring Nakamura back and we're going to have him make this big impact. Okay, we now have to make him win. This was absolutely one of those times where I felt like, yep, there's Triple H pulling the strings, and he did it perfectly. Shinsuke had to win this match. He's a superstar, or he can be a superstar. It's time to start treating him like one, and this was the first step. He doesn't have to have a main title. He's got the allure. He's got the entrance. They redo his entrance like once a year, and every time it somehow gets better. Like I don't even know, but the new music is better than the old music, and it's all the same. But I'm glad Shinsuke's getting this push. He deserves it, and LA Knight's going to be absolutely fine.
That was my follow up question there. What do you think is next for LA Knight? Because this is a very important character we have now. I'm curious: is he going to stay in the mid car scene? Is he going to continue a feud with Shinsuke? Is he going to move up into a different storyline? Where do you see LA going from here after the loss?
So I think the beauty of LA is he doesn't need titles. He's proven that until he got into the United States Championship picture. He fought Roman. He didn't need to win that match. He didn't. He really didn't even need to win this title, but I'm glad he did. I think that he could get into really significant feud. One thing I'd love to see: LA Knight versus Kevin Owens. I don't know how we get there, but LA is a face. KO is going to be doing things with Cody until I don't know, maybe the Royal Rumble. I'd love to see that match. I don't think they've done anything like that yet. And I think that those two on the mic back and forth could be really, really great.
Yeah, that could be some serious, great promo work for sure. And they are both good workers as well. We do have to talk about here. I don't even want to talk about this match, but Gunther, Damian Priest. It was a fine match on the surface. For the first half of it, Gunther was fighting like that chicken heel. He's not a tough guy anymore. It's still so bizarre to me. And they really started putting over that Priest hurt his shoulder, and they were really working that the whole match until Finn Balor interferes. Finn Balor comes out there, costs Damian Priest the match, the title again. We're doing this again. I don't even have words, but do you have any words? Do you have anything exciting to talk about?
No, I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head. It's like, why are we going back to this well? Are we going to see the reformation of the Terror Twins? Because, they're both still fighting the Judgment Day. I don't know. I think this just proves that Finn Balor needs something new. Damian Priest needs something new. Gunther needs something new. And I don't know how we get there. I'm glad I don't have to be the one booking it because I feel like it's probably a difficult proposition. But hopefully, this is all wrapped up by the Rumble and we can start moving on the road to WrestleMania and get all three of these guys something really good, for us to sink our teeth into.
Moving on to the Survivor Series main event now, of course, the OG Bloodline taking on the Bloodline. The OG Bloodline wins. It was kind of surprising that we both thought the heel team was going to win here. They kind of probably needed it more. No swerves. There was some kind of back and forth with Punk and Roman, which was really good storytelling throughout the match, but no swerves, no Paul Heyman interfering, taking out Roman or whatever it might have been. It was just kind of OG Bloodline wins.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was a complete coincidence that Paul came in a suit that looked exactly like Jacob, exactly like Solo's 2 weeks ago on SmackDown because nothing happened and he was there smiling and celebrating with the Bloodline and Punk after they won. No swerves, but I was fine with it. The match was great, delivered tenfold. So I love the order, the little storytelling between Roman and Punk. I would have had the new Bloodline go over. I think that would have really strengthened their position. But at the same time, I'll let them lead me where they want to take me.
Fair enough. There were some really great spots in this match. Of course, the finish at the very end, we did see CM Punk go over to Paul Heyman, remind him of that favor that he now owes him. I think we'll keep that storyline going for a while, just kind of in the background, which is kind of exciting, something to think about. I'm not really sure what Paul can do for CM Punk. Maybe at some point, Roman wins the title back, and that's the favor. Punk gets a shot at Roman. It remains to be seen. But overall, a solid pay per view.
Yeah, I think for a big four, maybe on the lighter end, but Survivor Series has always been the redheaded stepchild of the big four pay-per-views. They've treated it that way forever. It's the only one not held in a major stadium, right? Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, all held at either baseball fields or football fields, and this one's always doesn't quite cut it like that.
Can we go back to the 5-on-5 traditional elimination tags now? Can we stop with War Games, or is that not okay?
I'd like to see both. I think that there are times where War Games works really well, and I think there are times where the 5-on-5 works really well. For example, I think the ladies, while they, I think, utilized the cage better, that storyline felt like it made more sense in a traditional 5v5, where the Bloodline versus the Bloodline, that screamed War Games for me anyway. It wasn't about, they could have told a great story with Punk and Roman being the only one left on the OG bloodline, and then have to go through maybe like Jacob Solo and Bronson Reed, right? Like that would have been a cool story for sure. But I think in terms of that storyline, perfect match for War Games. So I really think it just depends.
I'm surprised they haven't kind of squeezed that cash cow yet and done both. Just make one pay per view War Games, one pay per view Survivor Series, and just have both major attractions throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also love to see. Imagine a combination of the two, a traditional Survivor Series War Game match where I guess like it's tornado style the way War Games is. It's in the two cages, but once the match starts, you get eliminated one by one. That might be too crazy. That might be too lofty, and I understand that. But they also pull off 30-man Royal Rumbles, so I think a good group of talent could do it, and I think it'd be a ton of fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do try that one year, depending on the storyline, if it makes sense. I think a lot of the times when we look at these matches, and there's probably two or three guys in that match that can't get pinned just for protection purposes, but that would definitely be cool. Moving away from Survivor Series, we had Monday Night Raw tonight. I thought it was an okay show. A lot of different stories were being told. Nothing crazy happened, I don't think. We'll start things off here with Punk coming out there, kind of use promo, kind of talking about Survivor Series is behind me now, looking toward the Royal Rumble. Then we had Seth Rollins come out there, interrupt him again, and just kind of continue this beef they have going on. What'd you think?
I'll tell you what. I think I've said I'd tell you what 3 times because I've just been so happy about this whole Saturday into Monday here. But Seth and Punk, this is a match made in heaven. Like this is a wrestling match made in heaven. I can't wait till it actually happens. We got a little glimpse today, like a real glimpse for the first time, the two of them standing eye to eye with no one in a sling or a cast or hurt or anything like that. And no special guest referee or anything like that. It was the two of them face to face. Great promos by both. I thought Punk started off. I'm sorry, Seth started off strong when he called him out, and then Punk had a great response to everything. Perfect. Chef's kiss. Cannot wait for this match to happen whenever it eventually does happen. No notes.
And of course, things did get physical when Sami Zayn and Jey Uso ran out there to break things up. The one tremendous thing that I've been yelling about since this feud or since this kind of Seth Rollins beef with Roman started, Seth started all of this with the chair shot to Roman. They have not addressed that until this week when Sami Zayn got on the mic and said, "You created Roman Reigns. You created the tribal chief." And that was really important to me to kind of convey that because I don't know if we're turning Seth heel or not here, but Seth is a big part to be blamed for this whole situation. He's kind of been playing it off like he wasn't until tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beauty of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns is that they both have their major flaws. They can both be heels at times. And you can also see where they've both been right. I mean, I know nobody was a huge fan of Roman's big babyface era, but he didn't really do anything wrong in that era, right? And then he becomes a tribal chief and he doesn't really care what he has to do to win. Seth took the opposite path, right? He was a big heel for a long time. Then he became a babyface and the people turned on him. And then he became a heel again and now he's a face again. Just shows Seth Rollins' range. But yeah, it's really interesting and it plays on those two characters. But Sammy's right. Seth did ultimately start this.
We'll jump around a little bit here. Of course, that great promo led to that main event match between Seth and Sami. Right before the match, Jey Uso was taken out backstage. It was kind of a whodunit, heavily alluding that Seth Rollins was the one to do it. Seth and Sami, of course, have their match. At the very end of the show, we have a returning Drew McIntyre coming out there, Claymore kick to Sami. Good to see Drew. I wonder what's next for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the natural next step, right? First of all, he's hated Jey Uso forever.
Yeah.
So the fact that Jey Uso just teamed up with CM Punk, a man he's hated forever, is awesome. I think we're gonna get way more that way. And now Sammy's gonna be a part of it. Is Drew gonna interact with Roman? Because that's something that never really misses and something I'd be welcome to see again. Like, how is all this gonna play in? Because it's clear that something's happening between Drew and the members of that match, but is it going to be all members of that match or just Sammy and Jay?
I would think Roman stays separated from this exact situation. It feels more like they're just continuing this storyline on to Raw because I don't really see all of the Bloodline guys hanging out going forward because Sammy and Jay already had that established friendship prior. I don't think Roman's going to be like hanging with the four of them backstage anymore. It seems like this is kind of a further new story for Drew to maybe take out. Like you said, he hated Jey Uso forever, and now Sami Zayn as well. I already expressed my frustrations with the Gunther Damian Priest title match, but now we have to talk about it again on Raw here as Finn Balor is named the number one contender. I don't really know why. He, of course, came out there and cost Priest that match, and now he came out here and beat up Gunther after his match with Dominic Mysterio. And now he's getting a title shot at that Saturday night main event where I'm sure Priest will interfere in that match. I don't understand why we're still doing this.
Yeah, so you make a really interesting point. I'm hoping that it's setting up a triple threat match for the three of them, and we can kind of end all of this together. I also think that Finn Balor is so underutilized that I am excited that he's going to get an opportunity, even though I know that it ultimately is going to end in Priest just killing him. I don't. He might even win the match by DQ. Like it might not even be like sneaky the way Finn's been doing it to Damian, where then he throws him back in the ring and Gunther finishes him off. Like Priest might just kill him like right in front of the ref and just end it right there. But
Aren't we supposed to be kind of out of this lull period now as we head into the Royal Rumble season? Aren't they supposed to be like really heating up now, not just the same stories being retold in very different ways?
I think they're in a weird spot right now because everything feels like let's just wait till John gets back and then we're gonna and this from the Netflix episode till WrestleMania, the foot is gonna be on the gas pedal. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit. The names that potentially could be in the Royal Rumble, like off the cuff, right? We don't think either of these championships are the main champions are changing before WrestleMania. We know John's going to be in there. We know Punk's going to be in there. I'm assuming actually Punk's going to be in there. I don't know for sure. But then you're thinking, well, Roman Reigns is probably going to be in that match. Seth Rollins is probably going to be in that match. The Rock could be in that match. We don't know. Maybe. They've been saying Brock Lesnar's name forever. He could be in that match, right? And so that's six massive names right there. And I didn't even talk about Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre. I mean,
Randy Orton.
Randy freaking Orton. I mean, like so many guys that could just be in this match and make a big deal. I don't want to put Logan Paul in this category, but like we haven't seen him in a while. I like when he wrestles. I think he does great work. So like he's another name that could be in there. This Rumble has so much potential that I think they know that. So yeah, things do feel like a little low right now, but it just feels like we're gonna reach even bigger heights than we have the past few years, which almost feels impossible.
No, that's a really good point that you make. They're probably holding back a lot of ammunition right now for January 6th for that first Raw on Netflix. And I like that point a lot that you made. We'll talk about what I think is the biggest talking focal point on Monday Night Raw today. It was the whole New Day segment where I think going in, everyone kind of suspected they're either going to break up or Big E's going to get them back together, one or the other. And this just went totally off the rails. This somehow turned into and Kofi and Woods teaming up on Big E, berating him about his broken neck, how he betrayed them, he let them down. And I feel like I was legitimately shocked. And I was texting you, I was like, what is happening right now as I'm listening to them just go in on Big E?
This was I had time like I've had like what an hour, really like an hour and a half to think about this now. This was one of the greatest heel turns I've ever seen.
Yes.
I don't think it's even up for debate. Because, like you said, we were swerved so far to the left because Woods, I think the way they did it was so perfect. Because Woods, like, he comes out there, right? And he's like, all right, everyone, like, calm down. I'm going to be there for you guys. Like, I'm going to manage you guys until I get healthy. And this is going to be okay. And then Woods, who's been like playing like the probable heel of the breakup, right? Starts bashing on E. And it's like, okay, now Kofi's going to open his mouth and say, hey, don't say that stuff to E. And then Kofi joins in. And you're like, wait a minute. Was he supposed to say that? And they just keep going and going. And it lasts for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Great heel turn. One of the greatest heel turns I've ever seen, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean that's a 10-year storyline, possibly not. It's not even a culmination because we're still going. But like I said, there was two very clear paths. They went totally off the rails. I loved it. It was incredible shock factor. I felt terrible for Big E, which is exactly what a great heel turn should make you feel. I wonder what they do next. They're obviously staying as a tag team. They probably have to win those belts pretty soon, just with that push they're getting right now, all the attention they have right now. they're going to wrestle like complete crazy heels. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, I really am legitimately excited, and I hope he can get back in the ring because I'd love to see that pay off. And something tells me that they might think that he will be available a little bit later down the line if they're going to do something like this. But also, they could just be using him as a tool to get them that heat that they got, which is also great. But yeah, I mean, I hope he comes back if he's able to. If it's safe for him to do so.
No, I thought that same exact thing multiple times. They mentioned how you're never going to get medically cleared. When they were saying that, I was thinking in my head, I was like, he might just drop, I'm cleared right now and drop both of them or something. I was kind of thinking, like, is that where we're going right here? But like you said, it's probably more of a long term story. I don't know if maybe they give E a partner at some point and he takes out the. I'm not exactly sure how they want to go about this storyline, but I felt the same way. I was like, you know what? E is going to get back at some point. They wouldn't be dropping these teases otherwise, and it's going to be great when he does.
When they looked at each other after E like scurries out of the ring and Kofi just goes, "It's just me and you now," I was legitimately like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
I can't believe that just happened." I was like, they threw us all for a loop. Oh, and I said that I was going to bring it up again. Triple H at his finest, at his like maybe the best booking decision he's made, and it just goes to show you that it's not all about the main event and everything that happens there. It's about so much more, and he gets that. And this was the all encompassing image of his run. Like if you had to choose one like moment of his run, it wouldn't be the main event of WrestleMania this year. It would be this because this is exactly what they do under Triple H, and it's all great.
It was a phenomenal segment, expertly done by Triple H, by creative, by the three guys in the ring there: Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston. A good Raw overall. A solid Raw right after, of course, a big four in Survivor Series WarGames. We're heading into Royal Rumble season now. Frank, anything else to share with us, or anything else you want to talk about today?
No, I'm just really really excited. We got the Saturday night main event coming. We'll have a little bit of a break, before that Raw on Netflix, and then like I said, from there I'm really excited. We're gonna really rev up for the Royal Rumble. So
Sounds good to me. We're going to do a whole bunch of Royal Rumble preparation for sure, a whole bunch of different pick shows. We have a couple of ideas with maybe a CM Punk video coming out, a John Cena farewell video coming out. Lots of fun times ahead. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching.